So today we're going to be covering the patron saint of gaming fatherhood, talking about Space Marine 2's Heavy, the class that if your dad were playing, he'd probably fall in love with it. But let's do a quick little breakdown of the Heavy, what all it has to offer, and then we'll get into some gameplay here. So real quick, the Heavy is the only class in the game that does not feature a melee weapon. However, kind of like the drumline in ATL, you can stomp the yard with this class, but just something to be aware of. This is a class that's going to thrive more on ranged combat. You can deal with mobs as they get closer and even some single target enemies. However, just be aware you are going to be kind of relying on your team to help you out with that. But real quick, we're going to cover the sidearms here. There's only two. You have the standard bolt pistol, which again, it's a nice well-rounded bolt pistol. It doesn't really do anything too special, but it works. It's a backup weapon. However, I would definitely recommend the plasma pistol, mainly because you can get area of effect damage with this. It also does do a little bit more damage against single target enemies. You do have a standard shot, and then you also have a charge shot, which is where you're going to get that AoE damage. It's very nice of clearing out like Minoris enemies and even getting additional damage onto groups of Majoris if they're bunched up close enough. Now the main thing that everybody's going to be gravitating towards the Heavy is going to be its primary weapon. So you do have three here. You have the multi-melta, the heavy bolter, and the heavy plasma incinerator. The multi-melta here is essentially the same thing as the melta rifle. However, you are going to be having much more ammo, and you're going to be hitting a little harder with the multi-melta compared to the regular melta rifle. Then you have the heavy bolter, which is it's essentially a chain gun. You do get pretty decent amount of ammo with this. It does fire at a decent rate. However, it's not too fast where every time you hold down the trigger, you feel like you're going to be completely out of rounds. But it is nice at clearing out mobs. It can do decent damage against Majoris, Extremist, and even Terminus level enemies. It's a nice all-arounder. If you're not wanting to play with the melta because that is going to be primarily for close range, or you don't want to use the plasma incinerator, this is a solid choice to stand behind. Then we have the heavy plasma incinerator. Sorry, I can't speak today. This is probably by far the best weapon for the Heavy, and I'll be the first to admit, when I started playing this class, I thought this weapon was atrocious, and that's completely on me. I just was not using it correctly. So the plasma incinerator, much like the standard rifle version and the pistol, it does have a regular fire mode, which is just you shoot one single projectile, or you can charge it, and with this you're going to get some massive area of effect damage with it. Mainly what I like to do is just kind of aim it more towards the ground, especially towards big group of enemies, send out a couple charge shots, and just watch everything on my screen get deleted. What's phenomenal about this is even on some of the higher difficulties, we're talking ruthless and even lethal as well. Sometimes, as long as you have accuracy on your side, it can take as little as 2 charge shots to knock out a Majoris enemy, which is huge, especially on those higher difficulties. It can also be shot single fire in that, if you have a couple Minoris enemies running around, you can clear them out pretty easily. I would just recommend, though, using your sidearm for that. In terms of perks, I'm going to show you exactly what I run here. Now, there are a couple that you can pick across, and they all offer some reasonable benefits. In terms of core, though, I'm running Restoration, which every time you get 10 kills in a rapid succession, you're going to get 1 bar of armor back, which is huge because this class thrives at just dealing with hordes of enemies, so you're going to be able to keep refilling armor segments. Also, the cooldown is 15 seconds, so that's pretty generous. Now, I will say, though, if you are primarily going to run this with the melta, you have no interest in touching any of the other weapons, multi-kill is a phenomenal perk to use. As long as you're killing 5 or more enemies with just 1 shot from the multi-melta, it's going to restore that shot. So you kind of get a free shot as long as you're killing 5 or more enemies, which can be huge. However, in terms of perks that I do like to keep on, the next one's going to be Fortitude. This is just an overall health increase by 20%. I do like this, especially at some of the higher difficulties in that, especially if I'm getting mobbed. Again, this can be a little bit rough when it comes to melee combat, so just having that little bit of extra health there can be enough to keep you alive in some of those situations where maybe you're waiting for your team to come in and assist you. Especially if you're out of ammo too, because that is one of the downsides. It's never fun to be playing as the heavy and then run out of ammo, because literally you're just trying to knee everything in the head to try and get it away from you. Next, Overwhelming Power. When Iron Halo is active, all your squad members within 10 meters are going to deal 10% more range damage. I personally like to pop Iron Halo as often as possible, and sometimes, you know, if you have teammates that are standing behind you, they can take advantage of not only the protection, but they're going to get a little bit of a range buff. This also does apply to you as well. In terms of team perks, the main one that I run is Additional Supplier, just because it's giving everybody an ammo increase of 25%, which is absolutely huge, especially on some of those higher difficulties where supplies are going to be limited. The other perk that I don't mind as well is Encompassing Aegis, just reduces range damage by 20%. Again, for me personally, having the Iron Halo, I can block a lot of that. However, this is something that you can throw on just to kind of help out the team as well. In terms of gear, I run Emperor's Protection, so every time Iron Halo runs out of energy, I get 1 bar of armor back. It's just a nice little thing to help kind of keep the armor up on this class. The other 2 perks above it also aren't bad. Killing 10 enemies in rapid succession restores your equipment charge. Cooldown is 180 seconds, so again, you can get those multi-kills really quick, so you can pop Iron Halo pretty rapidly. The only thing that's going to prevent you from doing that is just the cooldown of this perk. Also, Adamant Will. After Iron Halo deactivates, you do take 20% less health damage for 5 seconds. For me, 5 seconds starting out, it was really nice. However, now that I've gotten better at the game, have a better class build, that 5 seconds doesn't seem to last as long as it first did. So again, I just feel Emperor's Protection is so much better. Next, we'll be grabbing Power Regulator. This is just going to help keep Iron Halo up. Your energy is going to drain 15% more slowly. And then finally in gear, we have Brute Force, which is whenever the Iron Halo does go down, we're going to get a range damage increase of 15%, which does add up. In terms of signature, mostly I run Conversion Field, which is when Iron Halo is active. All my squad members within 100 meters, which is extremely generous, are going to recharge their abilities 50% quicker. This is going to allow the Bulwark to drop his banner more often, the Tactical to shoot up their Auspex. It's just going to allow everybody to do everything more often, which is huge. The other one that I ran there for a while was Offensive Capability, which kind of gives you a very small damage over time to enemies that are super close. I just never really felt like this benefited me at all. Maybe on some of the lower difficulties where enemies are a little less spongy, you might get some use out of this. However, I think once you hit 25 and you have access to Conversion Field, it's just so much better to invest in this perk, especially because it's going to help out your team. And talking about the Iron Halo, so that is going to be our character's special ability. Essentially, you just kind of pop up a little force field in front of your character. It does cover a little bit to your left and to your right. You have no back protection. However, it does do a pretty good job of blocking range shots. Now, stuff like the Zoranthropes and the Norathropes, whenever they kind of shoot that little psychic beam at you, it will not block that. However, the orbs, that it will. So just something to keep in mind. But we're going to run through Inferno here just because I feel like this is a pretty good mission to kind of demonstrate everything that this class can do. Take it off private mode. That way we can get a team and we'll jump right into it. But the goal is going to be is to try and showcase all the different weapons here. So there are 2 different loadout drops on this mission. So we're going to start off with the Heavy Bolter, and then we'll switch over to the Plasma Incinerator. And then from there, for our final holdout, while we set off the Melta Bombs there, we're going to use the Multi-Melta. That way we can hopefully keep the enemies off the walls. And this will be on Ruthless, mostly just because I want to be able to get a little bit more of that relic armory data, so if and when a new weapon does come out, I'm already going to have it on hand. But feel free to kind of skip ahead, that way you can see, you know, how each weapon performs, what this class is able to do. There's going to be kind of little commentary from me moving forward from this point in the video and that. But I do want to thank everyone for watching and for all the support on these Warhammer videos. I enjoy getting to interact with you guys on YouTube and Twitch as well, kind of discussing your thoughts on it. So feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let me know your thoughts down below as well. And let's get to this mission here. So this is also something I want to throw out here. The Heavy does have something known as the Heavy Stance, which, as you can see, as soon as you hold down the aim button, it'll automatically kick you into that. There are some weapon perks in that do utilize that mechanic. And again, it's extremely generous. It's as soon as you start to aim down, those benefits will kick in. And as you can see there, we do not get that protection on the side, and so unfortunately, we lost a fair bit of health right there off the bat. And just to throw out, if you ever do need armor with this, if you do have a Minor's enemy that has not been hit, if you just do the simple little melee attack there, you can knock them to a point where they are able to be hit by a gun strike. So just something to keep in mind if you notice that you're running low on armor. You kind of got screwed there at the beginning. I just wasn't paying attention. That was on me for not catching that sniper off on the side.
Stim cache located.
As for the melee timing, I would say it's pretty comparable to the balanced class of melee weapons. Blocking on this class does seem to feel pretty fair, but I would say it's less forgiving than definitely fencing As you can kind of tell there early on, we did mess up a little bit with some of that timing, and unfortunately did pay for it. We're going to clear out some of these drawers that are still hanging around here. That way we can deal with that Carnifex without having to worry about getting shot in the back. Enough plasma battery there just to kind of get that little part, but as you can tell, the heavy bolter here, it's not the best at doing a whole lot of upfront damage, but with the fire rate that it has and just the amount of sheer ammo you have, you can really get that damage over time. So we're able to do a pretty significant portion of damage there. Now the only thing that we're really going to be fighting is our ammo consumption, so just gonna stomp the yard with some of these Minoras here. And thankfully we did get an ammo cache spawn, which is huge. Just in the event that, you know, would have had a massive wave come in.
Sentries posted.
So it looks like we've got some Zorn throats that popped up behind us. I guess there's Zorn throats. I got them mixed up. Try and put a little bit of distance between us. These couple majors that are running up here.
If I am the first to find these codes, you should expect a reprimand.
Need to reposition a little bit better here.
reprimand. You should expect a reprimand.
As you can see, we had enough damage from that we were able to pick up a double knock right there.
Brothers, I hope you're having better luck.
That should be the end of the whole shit show right there.
Officer found. No codes. Our search was successful, Captain.
Just double check. Yep. Okay, no armory data. And we are full on ammo, so you have a loadout swap coming up, and then we're going to switch over to the plasma incinerator. And I think that'll actually make this much easier.
All specs ready to scan. Parts of injection administered. Our brother died in valor, not in vain. Deep scan ready. Suspects ready to scan.
This facility was not built with defense in mind.
Generator 4.
Two axes remain.
Overwatch.
Biological incursion of the generator.
You need only descend into the well now. Ready to intercept the tyranny in advance, Captain. Now we wait until the Xenos swarm reaches our position.
Us against 100,000 or 200,000 Tyranids. I like those odds even without them.
Confidence is a weapon. Overconfidence is a disadvantage.
Fresh magazine. I always compute their numbers.
We cannot backtrack.
I see them coming, brothers. Plenty for everyone.
Setting a fire trap.
Clear the perimeter.
We may be overrun, but never.
Consoles ready for it.
Check your aim. Spectacular bomb.
walls will not stop them for long.
Switching to close assault.
Ignition.
Your aims rise on patience.
Alright, so there you go. That's the heavy class, so you can kind of see why this is one of my favorites. Just make quick work of that. Granted, we did have a couple really bad play there's early on that kind of hurt us in the health department. Plus, we were chasing after that Ravager and should have been a little bit smarter than that. But it is what it is. But yeah, that's the heavy, so that leaves us with one more. So tune in next time when we cover the Bulwark. Also, feel free to watch me on Twitch at Poverty State Charizard, where we run this a lot. We run a lot of Space Marine too. But thank you again.